What up, everyone? It's Chris and the Commander crew. Can we take these birds and soar our way to victory? Let's fight out with this deck tech for Kangee, Skywarden.
Welcome to the Commander Crew, a Magic the Gathering Commander YouTube channel where we ask the question, who's your commander?
We want to thank you for watching our videos. You can help support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and hitting the bell notification icon.
You can also go to thecommandercrew.com to check out our t-shirts, masks, pet hoodies, and other Commander Crew goodies.
If you want to buy any of the cards seen in this video, be sure to click our TCG player affiliate link in the show notes below.
Lastly, you can help us out by heading to our official Patreon page and becoming a direct supporter of the channel. Now let's
get to the video.
Oh no.
On today's deck tech, we have Kanji Skywarden, a 3/3 bird wizard for 3 white blue. He has flying and vigilance, and whenever Kanji Skywarden attacks, attacking creatures you control with flying get +2/+0 until end of turn. And whenever Kanji blocks, blocking creatures you control get +0/+2. Basically, it's kind of like a flying lord almost. Basically, you want to have a lot of things on the battlefield that have flying, and you want to swing with Kanji additionally. So I can't wait to see how this goes. I've never built a flying deck, and I'm pretty excited to play one. First things first, let's start with those rocks and a little bit of ramp. We've got Mind Stone to tap for a colorless, Azorius Signet to filter out to Azorius colors, Arcane Signet to tap for any color, and then we have the beautiful Soul Ring that taps for 2 colorless mana for a single mana. And then we have Prismatic Lens, that taps for any colorless, but you can filter out to any color. Fracture Power Stone, which taps for a colorless, but it has the planar die, which is kind of cool, but it's a 2-mana rock. Sky Diamond and Marble Diamond to tap each for our colors blue and white. They do intertap, but they do help out in the long run. Since we have a lot of evasion with flying, we have Sword of the Animus for 2, which it gets +1/+1, but whenever the equipped creature attacks, you search for a land, and you put in the battlefield tap. It's pretty epic. And then we always have, naturally, Smothering Tide. It's 3 and a white. Whenever an opponent draws a card, if they don't pay the 2, you're getting a treasure token. And that treasure will tap for any color. If you're playing white, you're basically playing Smothering Tide. It's kind of a necessity at this point. Now let's start drawing and digging for those answers. We got to make sure we find what we want to play and play it as fast as possible. Some basic spells include Frantic Search for 2 and a blue, which draws 2 cards and then discards 2 cards, but get to untap 3 lands. So it's basically a free draw. Preordain and Ponder also look at some cards. Preordain for a single blue is a sorcery, scry 2 and draw a card. And Ponder is you get to look at the top 3, then put them back in any order, and then draw a card. Definitely helps out a lot in the long run. And then we have several things that have to do with flying, but also draw us cards. When we get Swords 2 and a blue, lets us draw 2 cards, but it costs 1 less if we control a creature with flying. Mulldrifter 4 and a blue for a 2/2 draws 2 cards when it enters, but you can cast it for the evoke cost, which is 2 and a blue. Cloudblazer 3 white blue for a 2/2 flyer, but you draw 2 cards and gain 2 life. And then Cloud Concealer 2 and a blue for a 2/1 flyer, but it enters and you draw a card. Since we're going to have a lot of evasion, we want to be able to get more value when we hit our opponents. Both Coastal Piracy and Biden Nathasa cost 2 blue, but whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, you get to draw a card. And then Biden also has the ability 1 and a blue to tap it. Creatures your opponents control attack this turn if able. These can draw us a lot of cards because we're going to have a lot of evasion, so don't forget about these cards at all. Now to the skies we fly. These are all the flyers. First off, we're going to have some flying value. Selfless Spirit 1 and a white for a 2/1 where you can sacrifice it and creatures you control get indestructible. Similarly, we have Linvala 1 white blue for a 3/3 flyer, but you can sacrifice and gain hexproof or indestructible until end of turn for your creatures. Siren Storm Tamer for a single blue, you can pay a blue and sack it, counter target spell or ability that targets a creature you control. And a Mirror Angel, 2 white for a 3/3 but has landfall on it. When a land enters, you create a 1/1 bird with flying. That's awesome. And then we have some flying lords. Thunderclap Wyvern, 2 white blue for a 2/3 flash flyer. Other birds you control get +1/+1. Steel Plume Marshal, 3 white for a 3/3. When it attacks, other attacking creatures with flying get +2/+2. Kanji's Lieutenant, 2 and a white for a 1/1. When it attacks, flyers get +1/+1. And it's got Encore on there. And then Empyrean Angel, 1 white blue for a 2/3 flyer. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. These stack up and make a massive army. Then we got some giant birds, basically giant flyers. Pride of the Clouds, white-blue for a 1/1, but gets +1/+1 for each other creature with flying. Skycat Sovereign, white-blue for a 1/1, gets 1/1 for each other flyer. And they also have 2 white-blue to create a catbird flyer. And then Ishai Ojitai Dragon Speaker for 2 white-blue, where it's a 1/1, but it gets a counter whenever opponent casts a spell. This can get massive very fast. And then we have little things that basically help build the battlefield and stand the ground. We have Warden of the Evil Isle, 2 and a blue for a 2/2 flyer, where creatures with spells with flying cost 1 less to cast. Jubilant Skybounder, 1 and a white or blue, that's ×2. Creatures you control flying have spells your opponents cast that target this creature, cost 2 more to cast. Sapphire's Skyblade, 4 white, kind of hefty for a 7/7 angel, but it's got flying and lifelink. You may tap 4 untapped creatures with flying and pay a single white, and other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. That's epic. And then Watcher of the Spheres, white-blue for a 2/2 flyer. Creatures with flying you cast cost 1 less to cast. That's a lot of value. And whenever another creature with flying enters the battlefield, Watcher gets +1/+1 on the turn. This is going to make us cast a lot of flyers. Now we want to slow down our opponents and basically stack the board a little bit so they don't play many spells. Ghostly Prison, 2 and a white. Creatures can't attack you unless their control pays 2 for each attacking creature. Aven Mind Sensor, 2 and a white for a 2/1 flash flyer. If an opponent would search their library, they search just the top 4 instead. Windborn Muse, 3 and a white for a 2/3 flyer. Creatures can't attack you unless their control pays 2. Basically another Ghostly Prison. And then Hushbringer, a 1 and a white for a 1/2 flying lifelink. Creatures enter the battlefield, doesn't cause ETB effects. Pretty awesome. Then we have Kanjali's Sunwing, 2 and a white for a 2/3 flyer. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Magus of the Moat, 2 white for a 0/3 human wizard, but creatures without flying can't attack. This is huge. Then we have Deafening Silence for a single white. It's an enchantment. Each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. That's pretty awesome because we have a lot of creatures in this deck. And then Archon of Emeria, 2 and a white for a 2/3 flyer. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn, period. And non-basic lands your opponents control into the battlefield tapped. A lot of people are playing non-basic lands because that's just how Commander rolls. This is going to put a lot of work in. And then last we have Remorseful Cleric, 1 and a white for a 2/1 flyer, where sacrifice exile all cards from target player's graveyard, basically stop someone who's playing a boatload of recursion. And then Confounding Conundrum, 1 and a blue, where it enters, you draw a card. But if an opponent plays more than 1 land a turn, they're going to bounce the land back to their hand. This basically stops all those landfall and people who are trying to ramp like crazy. Now we want to create a little bit of balance and protection on the board state. Lofty Denial, 1 and a white, basically counter a spell. Same with counter spell on Dovin's Veto. You want to counter as much thing as possible. Then we have Nimble Instructionalist for 2 and a blue, where it's got cycling, but whenever you cycle it, you counter target activated or triggered ability you don't control. That's huge, and he's also a flyer. And then we have Boreas Charger, 2 and a white for a 2/1 flyer, and when it leaves the battlefield, you choose an opponent, and you basically get to look at the lands and get the land difference. That can be a lot of lands at some point later in the game. Sometimes you just want to blow up a lot of stuff at once. Heliod's Intervention, X white can destroy X artifacts or enchantments, but you can also gain life, which is pretty cool. Dusk Till Dawn, basically destroy all creatures and then bring a bunch of creatures back. Supreme Verdict, 1 white, blue. It can't be countered. That's huge. Destroy all creatures, pretty straightforward. And then last we have Cleansing Nova, which is 3 white, destroy all creatures or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. That second one right there can come in clutch later in some games. Then for targeted removal, we have Path to Exile, Generous Gift, Reality Shift, and Swords to Plowshares will exile or remove specific targets or creatures from the game. This can put in a big dent in someone's gameplay, especially if they're putting all their resources into a single creature or a single permanent. This can help out a lot. Now we want to build the board and find those right enchantments to help overall overrun our opponents. We have Luminarch Ascension, 1 and a white, where if you don't lose life, you get a counter on it. When you pay 1 and a white, you create a 4/4 angel. Yeah, you get the 4 counters or more, but that can happen very quickly. Always watching 1 white, non-token creatures you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. Giving your team vigilance is huge. Then we have Favorable Winds, 1 and a white. It's an Honor of the Pure in blue. Creatures with flying get +1/+1. And then Cathar's Crusade, 3 white. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you put a 1/1 counter on every single creature you control. That's going to be massive. Now let's get that final value. Basically, how do we win? Like a little extra huzzah card, you know? Let's see what we got. Rally of the Wings, 1 and a white, untap all creatures you control, and creatures with flying get +2/+2 until end of turn. This can be a massive swing. Unbreakable Formation, 2 and a white, gives everything indestructible, but you can cast it on your turn, and everything gets +1/+1 and gains vigilance additionally. Sphinx's Revelation X white blue blue. You get to gain X life and draw X cards. You can get a lot of value out of this. And then one of my favorite flyers, Angel of Destiny. 3 white for a 2/6 flying double strike Angel Cleric. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you each gain that much life. That seems a little odd at first, but at the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 more life than your starting life total, each player Angel of Destiny has attacked this turn loses the game. That is insane. This is a 2/6 body. That's going to put in work. Now to wrap things up, we have the land base. You can never forget about the land base. These are things that go in every single deck and you can't forget about it. Scavenger Grounds to help exile cards from graveyards, Evolving Wilds to basically search for land, Tectonic Edge to destroy a specific land that's giving us a lot of issues, and then Terramorphic Expansion to search for basic land. You want to search. Guess what? We want to keep it on a budget, but we don't want to spend an arm and a leg. You have those options. Then we have Command Tower, tap for any color, Path of Ancestry to tap for any color of our commander's identity, Castle Vantress, 2 blue, scry 2, but you get to get tap for blue, and then Exotic Orchid taps for any color an opponent controls. Nimbus Maze, Temple of Enlightenment, Skycloud Expanse, and Prairie Stream to tap for either of our commander's colors. And then Temple gets us to scry additionally. Pretty awesome. Azorius Chancery taps for both. Glacial Fortress, Irrigated Farmland, and Tranquil Cove also tap for either color, while Tranquil Cove gives us a little bit of life when it enters. And then Irrigated Farmland can cycle out if we have enough lands already. And then we have those dual-face modal lands and an actual main land additionally. Celestial Colony becomes a 4/4 white and blue flying elemental with vigilance. That's huge. Sagiri's Shelter, Ondu Inversion, and Maria's Call all do a lot of work, but also can tap for colors if you use the other side. You have protection from specific colors, destroying all non-land permanents, and then creating 2 flying angels. This is awesome. These things can come in a lot of actual value later in the game, so don't underestimate the fact that they do cost a lot because they can put in the work later in the game. And the rest are all just basic lands. And that's Kanji Skywarden. He's pretty awesome. I'm pretty stoked about this. So, what do you think? So how would you build Kanji? Would you put a little bit more emphasis on flyers? Would you make it more so like a bunch of tokens? Or just keep using flying value overall? Let me know in the description down below, because I'd love to hear how you would build Kanji Skywarden. I was pretty excited when he came out, especially the fact that he's uncommon, and Kanji needed a reprint in my opinion. It was alright, but now we have a true Kanji Skywarden. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, please hit that bell notification for future videos. Like and subscribe because that helps out a lot. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see you next time. Have a good one. Again, this is Chris and the Commander Crew. Peace.